Finally, we want to play this clip from Dr. Yasir Qadhi, who said something, and Christian missionaries are using it as some kind of, you know, symbol of their victory, you know, in the campaign against the Quran. So let's play the
Yeah.
clip and see what he has to say
While I
and
bring it,
explain what he has.
yeah, while I bring it up, it's important to know that this is not something new that the Christian missionaries are doing. If you go back centuries, right, when they started first translating the Quran into English, there are most of the early translations, and correct me if I'm wrong, Adnan Bhai, were missionary translations with a particular agenda. And when people read them, this is why I didn't, you know, when you look at the Enlightenment period, there was a lot of Enlightenment thinkers who read those translations and got the wrong end of the stick. But what's interesting, I was reading recently, Voltaire, originally when he came across the Islamic tradition, obviously based on the missionary translations, etc., he really disliked Islam and even made plays, anti-Islamic plays against the Prophet ﷺ. But later in his life, several decades later, when he came across a decent translation by, I think it was by Sales, he actually changed his whole view on Islam and he started defending Islam, bro. And that shows that this missionary attack on Islam is nothing new. It's been there for a very
It's
long time.
ancient. It started from the very early period of Islam. Okay,
Yeah.
Christian missionaries, clergy, they started to lie on Islam, literally lie. It starts with John of Damascus. Okay, John of Damascus was one of the later church fathers who wrote in Greek. Okay, he was from Damascus. He was alive during the Umayyad period, and it starts with him. And the tradition continues to this way. I will make a very responsible statement now. Most Christian missionaries commenting on Islam, most of them, not all, most of them are malicious liars, are a bunch of liars. I'm usually very careful with my statements, and I'm making this statement with confidence. They are a bunch of liars. They deliberately ignore physical evidence, empirical evidence, which is in their faces, to confuse their own masses, to take them away from Islam. They basically want to confuse the Christians into thinking Quran is not preserved, Islam is messed up, Prophet Muhammad is immoral. They will keep lying. They will keep lying. They will lie to an extent that they will lose any sense of shame. Not that they ever had it in the first place, right? But they are most of them, they are outright liars. They are liars. Okay, they're not confused. They're not ignorant. They know the truth. They know they are lying. This is why they are malicious liars. Without saying names, without mentioning names. That's why we choose not to engage with most of them. Because they, how will you debate a liar? How will you debate a liar when you put physical evidence in front of their face? They will say, "Oh, I don't accept it. It doesn't exist." Okay. If you tell someone there's the sun, can you see the sun? He will say, "I cannot see the sun." He will do this, literally. Okay, the sun is there, and we're going to be grabbing his head. We're going to be grabbing his head and pointing to the sun. Look, the sun is there. Look, the sun is there. He's going to be doing, I cannot see the sun. Where's the sun? I cannot. This is how Christian missionaries are.
They shouldn't be.
Literally, this is exactly how they are.
They shouldn't be a resource. They shouldn't be a resource for Muslims or non-Muslims, right? Without, just to name, I don't want to name drop, but there's some individuals that are online and that are deliberately jumping on any opportunity they get, bro. Literally any opportunity. They're clutching at straws just to make a case against Islam, bro. They're the last people you want to go to as
you know why they have to do it? Because their own scripture is entirely corrupt. Okay, when I say entirely corrupt, from page 1 to the page last, they don't have what the authors actually wrote. Here we have the Quran from the 1st century, okay, where we read word by word exactly what the Prophet taught his companions and what they transmitted to us in our modern copies. It has reached us in our modern copies. And then on top of that, Western scholars, Western non-Muslim scholars are saying Muslims have exactly the same Quran Muhammad taught to his companions, and then they delivered it to posterity. What more do you need? Physical copies, then a tradition to back it, how to read it, and then modern Christian, non-Christian, non-Muslim scholars confirming its veracity. Then anyone who questions it after that is either confused or a liar. So let's go to the clip of Dr. Yasir Qadhi.
This is why people like David would need to fix up, bro, honestly. And I just have to
Yes.
say that some people are just clowns, bro. Honestly, literally clowns.
We don't engage with people like that because they are outright liars. I'm not talking about Dr. Yasir Qadhi, by the way. He mentioned, and Brother Imran mentioned a name. So in case people think that the picture came up and I'm talking about him.
No, that was no time. That was just
Dr. Yasir Qadhi, I think he should have been more clear on this issue. He confused a lot of people with some vague statements he made. Either he should not have indulged in this topic in this particular interview. If he chose to indulge, then he should have gone into more details, clarifying the muhkamat. The muhkamat means established matters, what we talked about in this particular live stream. We talked about established matters in this live stream, right? We talked about them. What is established? This is what's established. So if you were to ask me, if you gave me a blank codex, a blank copy, for example, a blank notebook. If you gave me a blank notebook and asked me to write the Quran in it, what would I write in it? If you ask me that question, I would tell you, I would write this. Bring it back on the screen.
What, the video?
No, the page. The page.
1 second, bro. Let me just pop it up. Here we go.
If you ask me this question today, what would you write on a blank notebook if we were asked to write the Quran on that blank notebook? I would write exactly this. This is what was given. This was what and why I would write that? Because this is exactly what's here, from page 1 to the page last. So if you go to IslamicAwareness.org, there is a list of Qurans from the 1st century. We have the entirety of the Quran, from the 1st century. The entire Quran, we have it from the 1st century. Okay, in different libraries. Okay, we even have complete copies. The Husseini Mosque manuscript, which is from the 1st century in Cairo. Okay, Husseini Mosque manuscript is from the 1st century of Islam. It's in Cairo. It is 99% complete. The complete text of the Quran. Only first 2 or 3 pages are missing. Surah Al-Fatiha and maybe the very early verses of Surah Baqarah are missing. The rest of the Quran is there. Husseini Mosque manuscript. Allahu Akbar. So if someone asked me, what would you write on a blank copy? A blank notebook. If you were asked to write the Quran, I would write exactly that manuscript, which is exactly the same as what we read at home today. So why are Christian missionaries going on a victory parade? Let's see what Yasir Qadhi said and what he was talking about.
Okay, 1 second.
The crisis was very simple. Traditional understandings of Ahruf al-Qira'at cannot answer some of these pressing questions that are now being poked by our people outside of, by our academics, not our, by their academics outside of the faith tradition.
Pause, please.
Yep, done.
Here, Dr. Yasir Qadhi is saying that the traditional narrative about Ahruf and their relationship to the Qira'at. Ahruf, those 7 modes of the Quran that were read, okay, in the fluid form before the Uthmanic standardization, their reality, those modes and their reality, and how it affects the later reading of the Quran. He's not talking about the physical copies of the Quran. Let me repeat that. Dr. Yasir Qadhi is not talking about the physical copies of the Quran from the 1st century. He's talking about the reading. He's talking about the relationship of the actual reality of those 7 modes of the Quran, how they were read then, and how the Quran was read post Uthmanic recension, okay, and their relationship. This is what he's talking about, that Western academics are raising questions about it, okay, and they're not getting answers, okay. Just because they're not getting answers does not mean the Quran is not preserved. The Quran is preserved, as we showed you the text, the physical copy from the life of the Prophet and his companions. The Quran is there, the text is there. The debate is about how it is read in those 10 qira'at and how those 10 qira'at relate to the readings of the Quran before the standardization of Uthman. Is that clear?
Yep.
This is exactly what Dr. Yasir Qadhi is